There is a biological rule in nature. If you see a predator, it sees you. But in the deep woods of Appalachia, there is an exception to this rule. Sometimes the thing looking at you isn't a predator. It is a mirror. It doesn't just want to eat you. It wants to be you. My name is Sergeant Cole. I served with the 75th Ranger Regiment. I have done tours in Afghanistan and Iraq. I have seen combat. I have seen what men do to each other. I thought I knew what horror was, but nothing I saw in the desert prepared me for what lives in the Great Smoky Mountains. We went in looking for a single deserter. We ended up fighting something that defied evolution. This is the declassified story of Operation Echo. If you are listening to this in the dark, turn on a light. And if you hear your own voice calling from the other room, do not answer. October 14th, 20. The mission profile was standard. A soldier named Private First Class Miller had gone AWOL during a survival training exercise. He took his service weapon, a radio, and disappeared into the dense forest of Sector 4. Our team was a 4-man recovery unit. Myself, Corporal Diaz on heavy weapons, Specialist Doc Evans, our medic, and Lieutenant Harper, the OIC. We inserted by helicopter at 0600 hours. The air was cold and smelled of wet pine needles and decaying leaves. The Great Smoky Mountains get their name from the fog that hangs over them. It's thick, like milk. It dampens sound. As soon as the helicopter left, the silence hit us. Usually, a forest is alive. You hear birds, squirrels, insects. But Sector 4 was dead. Absolute zero. No wind in the trees, no crickets. It felt like walking into a soundproof room. "Check comms," Lieutenant Harper whispered. "Check," I replied. My voice sounded too loud in the stillness. We moved in a diamond formation. We were tracking Miller's boot prints. He was moving fast, stumbling. The tracks were erratic. He wasn't moving like a soldier trying to evade capture. He was moving like prey running for its life. After 2 miles, we found the first sign that something was wrong. We found a deer. It was standing in the middle of a clearing, perfectly still. "Hold up," I signaled. "Target at 12 o'clock. We watched the deer through our optics. It didn't move. It didn't twitch an ear. It didn't blink. "Is it dead?" Diaz asked. "It's standing up," I said. "How can it be dead?" I walked up to it, weapon raised. As I got closer, the smell hit me. It wasn't the smell of an animal. It smelled like copper and burning plastic. I poked the deer with the barrel of my rifle. It fell over, stiff as a board. It was a taxidermy, or at least, it looked like one. But when I looked closer, I saw the truth. The skin wasn't fur. It was a smooth, organic texture that had been molded to look like fur. And where the eyes should have been, there were just painted black circles. "It's a decoy," Doc whispered. "Something made this." But who makes a fake deer in the middle of a restricted zone? And why? We pushed deeper. The fog got thicker. Visibility dropped to 20 meters. At 1400 hours, we found Miller's temporary camp. It was a mess. His tent was shredded from the inside out. His rations were unopened. But in the center of the camp, pinned to a tree with a combat knife, was his field journal. I pulled it down. The pages were wet, but readable. The handwriting was shaky, frantic. I read the last entry out loud to the team. "It knows my name. It knows my mother's name. It stands outside the tent at night and whispers to me in my father's voice. My father has been dead for 10 years. I can't sleep. If I sleep, it will take my face. It wants my face." "Psychosis," Harper muttered. "The kid cracked under isolation. He's hallucinating." "Maybe," I said, looking at the shredded tent. "But psychosis doesn't tear Kevlar fabric like it's wet paper." That's when the radio crackled. It wasn't our encrypted channel. It was the open emergency frequency. "Base, this is Miller. Come in." The voice was clear, calm. "Miller?" Harper keyed his mic. "This is Lieutenant Harper. We have your location. Stay put. We are coming to get you." "Come in. Base, this is Miller," the voice repeated. Exactly the same intonation. Exactly the same pause. "He's looping," Diaz said. "He's repeating the message." "Triangulate it," I ordered. "Where is he?" "Signal is strong," Doc said, looking at his tracker. "He's close, 300 meters north. There's an old ranger lookout tower up on the ridge. He must be there." We moved out, but as we walked, I couldn't shake the feeling. The voice on the radio, it didn't sound like a recording. It sounded too perfect. It lacked the emotion of a man who wrote that journal. The ranger tower loomed out of the fog like a skeleton. It was a rusted metal structure, about 50 feet high, with a small cabin at the top. The wind had picked up, whistling through the metal beams. "Standard entry," Harper ordered. "Cole, Diaz, you take point. Doc, watch the rear." We climbed the creaking stairs. My heart was pounding against my ribs. I had my M4 raised, thumb on the safety selector. We reached the platform. The door to the cabin was open. "Miller, U.S. Army Rangers, come out!" I yelled. No answer. I swung into the room. "Clear left! Clear right!" Diaz yelled. The cabin was empty. Just an old desk, a broken chair, and dust. "Where is he?" Harper demanded. "The signal came from here." "Sarge," Doc called from the doorway. "Look at the radio." On the desk, there was a handheld radio. It was turned off. The battery was removed and sitting next to it. "It's dead," I said. "How was he broadcasting if the radio has no power?" And then, we heard it. From the woods below us. "Base, this is Miller. Come in." We ran to the railing and looked down. The fog was swirling around the base of the tower. We couldn't see the ground. "He's down there," Harper said. "He played us. He lured us up here." "No, sir," I whispered. "Listen closer." The voice spoke again. "Base, this is Harper. Come in." It wasn't Miller's voice anymore. It was Lieutenant Harper's voice. It was a perfect recording of what the lieutenant had said 5 minutes ago. "Base, this is Harper. Come in." Then it changed again. "Clear left! Clear left!" It was my voice. "It's mimicking us," Diaz said, backing away from the railing. "What the hell is that?" Then a sound came from the fog that I will never forget. It sounded like a tape recorder rewinding at high speed, a high-pitched squeal of garbled human speech. And then it stopped, and it laughed. It wasn't a human laugh. It was the sound of dry leaves crunching, shaped into the rhythm of a laugh. "Open fire on the movement!" Harper panicked. "Lighting them up!" We opened up on the fog. M4s on full auto, tracers zipped into the mist, illuminating the trees. We threw frag grenades. The explosions shook the tower. When the smoke cleared, there was silence again. "Did we get him?" Doc asked, his voice trembling. I looked through my thermal scope. The heat vision cuts through fog. I scanned the tree line. Nothing. Nothing. "Wait. Contact," I whispered. 3 o'clock, by the big oak tree. I saw a heat signature, but it was wrong. It was patchy. Some parts were hot, some were cold. It looked like a man, but the proportions were distorted. The arms were too long. They hung down past its knees. And the neck was stretched like a rubber band. It was standing on 2 legs, looking up at us. Through the magnified optic, I saw its face. It didn't have a face. It had a smooth, fleshy surface. But as I watched, the flesh began to ripple, like water. It was forming features, a nose, a mouth, eyes. It was trying to make a face, my face. It formed a crude copy of me. The eyes were too big, the mouth was sideways, but it was me. It opened that crooked mouth and screamed. But it wasn't a scream. It was the sound of a gunshot. Bang! It mimicked the sound of our rifles perfectly. Bang! Bang! "It's learning," I said. "We have to go, now." We rappelled down the backside of the tower. We abandoned the mission. This was no longer a rescue, it was survival. "Vector back to the LZ," Harper ordered. "Double time!" We ran through the woods. The heavy gear weighed us down. My lungs burned, but the thing was fast. We could hear it crashing through the brush parallel to us. It didn't care about stealth anymore. It was hunting. "It's flanking us!" Diaz yelled. Suddenly, Doc screamed. He was at the back of the formation. I spun around. "Doc!" The fog had swallowed him. "Doc, sound off!" "I'm here." Doc's voice came from the left. "I'm here." Doc's voice came from the right. "I'm here. I'm here. Help me." The voices were coming from everywhere, dozens of them, all sounding like Doc. The creature was throwing his voice, creating a surround sound nightmare. "Which one is him?" Diaz yelled, spinning in circles. "Don't shoot," I ordered. "You might hit the real one." Then a shape emerged from the fog 5 meters in front of me. It was Doc. He was standing there, holding his stomach. "Sarge," he wheezed. "Help me. It got me." I lowered my weapon and took a step forward. "Doc, you okay?" He looked at me, and then he smiled. But the smile didn't stop. It kept widening. It split his face from ear to ear, revealing too many teeth. Needle-like teeth. "Run," the thing said in a distorted, deep voice. "That's not Doc!" I screamed. "Fire!" I pulled the trigger. Point-blank range. 3 rounds into its chest. The thing didn't bleed. It burst. Like a balloon filled with black sludge, it exploded. But instead of dying, the sludge moved. It lashed out like a whip. A black tentacle struck Diaz, knocking him into a tree. The creature reformed instantly, taller, angrier. It wasn't trying to look human anymore. It was a mass of muscle and hate. We were overrun. Diaz was down. Harper was firing blindly. We needed a distraction. "Go!" Harper yelled. He pulled the pin on a white phosphorus grenade. "I'll hold it back. Get to the chopper." "Sir, no!" "That's an order, Sergeant. Move!" I grabbed Diaz by the vest and dragged him. We ran. Behind us, I heard the roar of the creature, followed by the brilliant, blinding flash of white phosphorus. The burning heat hit my back. Then the screaming started. But it wasn't Harper screaming. The creature was mimicking Harper's death scream, amplifying it, broadcasting it to the whole forest. We reached the LZ. The Black Hawk was waiting, rotors turning. We practically threw ourselves on board. "Go! Go! Go!" I smashed the pilot's shoulder. As we lifted off, I looked down at the tree line one last time. The fog had cleared slightly. Standing at the edge of the clearing was Miller, the man we had come to save. He was wearing his uniform. He looked fine. He looked up at the helicopter and waved. But as we got higher, I saw the truth. His legs, they were backwards, like a dog's legs. And his face was completely blank. No eyes, no mouth, just smooth skin. He, or it, watched us leave. We never went back for Miller, or Lieutenant Harper. The official report says they were killed in a training accident involving unexploded ordnance. Sector 4 is now permanently closed. They put up a 10-foot electrified fence around the perimeter. I was medically discharged for acute stress disorder. But I know what I saw. The scariest part isn't the monster. The scariest part is that sometimes, when I answer the phone, there is a delay on the line, and I hear my own voice echoing back to me. Most people think it's just a bad connection, but I know better. It's practicing. It's waiting for the fence to come down. This is Captain Nightwhisper. If you hear a familiar voice in the woods, run.